Good afternoon. At this afternoon's Who Are You Intelligence Forum's podcast, we're privileged to have Simon Robinson, co-founder of RP Capital, an independent commercial real estate consultancy based in Birmingham. Simon, thank you very much indeed for this interview today.
My pleasure.
The first question I'd like to put to you is, would you tell us about your professional journey so far?
Yes, well, it's been quite lengthy, Harry. I qualified in way back in 1982 in London with a company called Richard Ellis, which is now morphed into CB Richard Ellis or CBRE. I spent my first 10 years in London doing capital markets, so buy sale of commercial real estate. And Richard Ellis at the time was expanding into the regions. Acquired a company with a very small six-person office in Birmingham, which I came up to run and expand. Spent 6, 7 years doing that, and then was seconded by, in effect, Richard Ellis to first in New York for 2 years, and then to Hong Kong for 2 years, where I ran a relatively small real estate services business across China, India, Malaysia, Singapore, and Thailand. I then returned to Birmingham in 2003, founded a small niche business called GBR Property Consultants, which we merged with a property management business, and that was then subsequently sold to Savills. I joined BNP Paribas Real Estate in Birmingham as their head of office 11 or so years ago, and my colleague Julie Perks and I came out of that business and started RP Capital Advisors in 4 weeks ago today, in fact.
Well, my congratulations.
Thank you.
So what services are you going to be offering at RP Capital?
Okay.
And where will you have the edge on the competition?
Right. Well, the services that we're principally going to be offering are the leasing of office space for commercial landlords in Birmingham, the wider Midlands, but specifically Edgbaston, Solihull, and sort of the closer suburbs. We'll also be advising owners on the sales of commercial real estate and indeed on the acquisition of commercial real estate. The edge, I suppose, and what we'd like to sort of promote with our clients is that in Julie Perks and myself, you're getting experience. Often we hear clients say that the big man came in to do the initial pitch and then we got the graduate. And that is not what you're getting with RP Capital. You're getting two people who've been in the industry for a number of years and hopefully can bring, a deeper experience and knowledge to clients that want to work with us.
And in your view, being located in Birmingham, what advantages does that offer businesses?
Well, Birmingham always markets itself as the second city. And we're always very conscious that Manchester promotes itself very well. But there are some key things that are advantageous to business by setting up, locating, or expanding in Birmingham. One of which is that Birmingham is billed as the youngest city in Europe. So a huge percentage of the population is aged under 30 and under 25, which is always good. We are rich with universities and colleges in and around Birmingham. So we have Birmingham University, Aston University, the Metropolitan, and so on and so forth. And Birmingham's universities pride themselves on the fact that it's quite a sticky city. So a lot of graduates who previously might have travelled down to build a career in London are now happy to stay in Birmingham. And of course, there are cost advantages over London, particularly in terms of housing costs and so on. But there's a rich diversity of A, population, and B, skill sets in Birmingham, which is really quite advantageous to two businesses. A good example of a business which took a long, long time to decide to come to Birmingham and it's now doing well in Birmingham and is expanding in Birmingham is Goldman Sachs, for example. And we're seeing more of that, more expansion, and of course, as with every place in the UK and every business in the UK, everybody is focusing on how AI may change slash improve things.
So we've touched on this in an earlier question, but what are the advantages and opportunities that a small practice such as yours offers over a large corporate structure?
I suppose this is my sales pitch a bit, Harry, but
you got to do it.
You got to do it. No, the advantage is that everybody talks about a personal service and experienced personnel and so on and so forth, and that is really where niche businesses do well. We find that when we're talking to clients to introduce our new business, most are interested. Most know us as individuals, and people are good enough to recognise that if you appoint RP or a similar sort of niche type business, you do get the founding partners or directors working on your project rather than getting your project passed down the line. And very simply, Harry, we succeed, we get paid. And there's quite a motivation there, as you might imagine.
Yeah, you eat what you kill.
Indeed. Yep. And the other thing that I hope will benefit from, very few niche businesses have been set up in Birmingham over the past certainly since COVID. If you're a reasonably successful individual, you're in your late 30s, early 40s, you might like to set up a business, but quite often you're married, you've got children, you've got commitments, and that does deflect a lot of people's ambitions to run their own business.
Yes. Yeah. No, absolutely. On another matter, how do you see the economy of Birmingham changing when HS2 arrives in 2035, if it does arrive in 2035?
Well, we are now talking about delivery and operation 9 years hence. So you need quite a big crystal ball to be able to say with any confidence whether or not HS2 will benefit Birmingham as an economy. My personal view is very much that quite a good idea had the line extended into the north of England. But the improvement in journey times, 49 minutes, is only 25 to 30 minutes quicker than the current Avanti line runs to New Street. And of course, since COVID, there's been more work from home, less travel to London, etc., etc. I think the capacity argument that was always put forward for HS2 rather than speed has been a little bit dented. And I also, and this is a little known fact, but it is a fact, on your 49-minute train journey, you will be underground or in a cutting with no view of the countryside for 41 of those 49 minutes. So it'll be like going on the Elizabeth line in London. It's largely an underground system that they're installing, and we're only 100 miles from London and vice versa. I personally think its benefits will be limited. And I think when history is written, the astronomical cost of 100-mile rail line will be seen to have been money not well spent.
Well, thank you. And the last question I'd like to ask you is, if there was one improvement you could make to the area, what would that be?
Well, the immediate, slightly quippy answer is that it'd be nice if they sorted out the bin strike, because that is not actually a good advert for Birmingham. There's quite a bit happening in Birmingham, and I'm quite excited about the new sports quarter that's being promoted by Knighthead Group, who obviously own Birmingham City Football Ground. For once, a really ambitious project does feel like it's going to happen. So a new 62,000 seater multi sport stadium, but centered on football. I think that's really quite a positive. And there are various quarters in Birmingham that are being promoted, tax incentives and so on and so forth, fairly close to the city centre, which, if development can start going, would be good for Birmingham.
Well, Simon, I just really like to thank you for this interview. It's very kind of you because I do appreciate when you start a new business, and indeed when you, at any stage, you're incredibly busy and have a lot on your plate. So thank you for the time today.
It's my absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.